For my final project, I realized that all the books had something in common that I could point out, which is negativity. I feel like each and every book that we've read through the semester had something negative that happened to them in the books. So I'm going to point out each negative scene that happened and explain it. So starting with the watch, the biggest negative thing that's happened through the whole book, other than her losing her whole family, legs and all, and being humiliated by the army, I would believe that it is losing her brother, and it's the only thing she has left, and she's not able to give it the right funeral that she wants to give him. I believe that there are other points in the book that could be seen as being negative, such as being circled by hyenas or dumped through a letter. But the biggest point that was seen as negative is that the army wouldn't give her brother's body, and I believe that is seen as negative because that was the last person she had in her family, and she wanted to do something right with the body. It's not that she wanted to do something wrong, and she felt that she needed the body as closure, and they wouldn't give the body to her. So I see that as a big point of negativity in the watch. In July's People, what I've seen as the big point of negativity would be having to be forced out of your house and having to depend on a African American to help you. I see this as negative because white people didn't believe that they needed any help from African Americans to survive. So when I seen that they had to fall back on an African American, they could have possibly seen this as negative, but they can also see this as being a positive because of their lives are being saved. In Balzac, the little Chinese seamstress, I believe that the biggest point of negativity would be having to be forced to be re-educated. Even though that you are already educated, you have to go back and be re-educated all over again, something that you already knew but in a different way. I see this as being negative because it's basically a waste of time since you already know stuff. But then another point that I see as being negative is that something that they love to do is being taken away from them, which is reading. And I see that as being negative because why take away something that means so much to someone if it's doing no harm? In the book Zora, it was the hardest for me to find a negative point in the book, but one of the ones that stood out most to me was him having to be forced to grow up. No one wants to be forced to grow up. You want to be a child while you're a child and be an adult when you're an adult. And I believe that was negative to me because I would hate to be forced to grow up and not be able to live as a child if I'm a child. Last but not least, the plague. I believe the negative point within this book is obviously the plague, plain and simple. Everyone dying is probably the most negative thing that could possibly happen in all these books. So I believe this is seen as negative because people had to lose their lives. Thanks.